Draw a 270-degree rotation of the figure shown. This is going to be counterclockwise. And I know that because that's just the assumed rotation. If you're not told otherwise, it's a counterclockwise. Now let's take a look at this rotation. Now 270 degrees, I'm just going to draw a sketch of what that looks like. This would be your 90 degrees. This whole rotation here, all the way around, would be 270 degrees. And that's about 3/4 of a circle. And I just want to visualize that first so I know in my head what the rotation should look like. So these points here, if you go 3/4 of a circle, should end up down here somewhere in this lower right-hand quadrant or quadrant 4. Let's start with point D because that's closest to the origin. Sometimes that's the easiest one to get started with. Now if I go 90 degrees, it's going to end up here, 180 here, 270 is going to be right here. I'll put D prime. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sketch here real quick. Angle from D to D prime. And going around here, that is 3/4 of a circle. And there's also a pattern of coordinates for a 270-degree rotation. And it goes like this: x comma y okay, that maps to y comma negative x. What that means is you take the y value of the pre-image and it becomes the x value of the image. And then you take the negative of the x value for the pre-image and that becomes the y value. Let me try for D so we can see how this works. So the original pre-image was 1, 2. And applying the pattern here, my x value is going to be the y value for the pre-image. So it's just going to be 2. And then my y value is going to be the negative of the x. So if there was a 1 here, my y is going to be -1. And let's take a look. 2, -1. See, that's where the D prime is. And there are a couple of different ways you can do these. You can use tracing paper and then just go around. You could trace the pre-image and then actually rotate it and then figure out where the image would be. You can use a protractor, measure the angle, and then you can draw each one out by hand that way. Or you can find the pattern in the coordinates. Now what I like to do is I like to use the easiest point possible. Usually that's the one closest to the origin. And then I'll look for the pattern there and just rotate that one point. And I'll use that point to create the pattern that I need for the coordinates. So that's where I got the xy goes to y negative x. Then I can just apply that pattern to the rest of the coordinates, and that makes an easy rotation. So let me go ahead and do that. So let's see. A is 2, 4. And if I apply the coordinate rule, it'll be 4, -2. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm switching the x and the y values, and I'm taking the opposite of the x value, so this 2 becomes -2. Now let's see where that ends up. So 4, -2, that would be my A prime. Okay, next value, let's do B. That is at 5, 3. So that'll map to 3, -5. And let's plot that one. 3 and then -5. That'll be down here. And then finally point C. That one is at 5, 1. That will go to 1, -5. So 1, -5. Now I'm going to rotate all the points that are in between the vertices. And I'm just doing that by drawing the segments here for the image. Okay, now what you want to do now that you're done, you want to just take a minute and verify that it's a rigid transformation. A rotation is supposed to be. So you just want to look and see if your sides are all the same length and the angles look okay. And my visual check, this looks good. It does look like a 270-degree rotation. It is a rigid transformation. So I'm happy with this rotation. So that's how you draw it. And like I said, there are several different techniques you can use. I prefer to create the rule and then just go ahead and apply that rule to the vertices and then finish by drawing the sides of the image.